Sorry. Okay, Brooke, I think we're ready to go ahead and go if you want to start. We're going to start out today. We have Brooke Adolfo here from our Reduction in Motion team, and she's going to give us a little update on some changes that are happening in the trash world.
Yes, thank you, Marie. And also for my team, I have with me Erin. She's our new representative for downtown. But we're just going to go over some waste separation and recycling programs, talk a little trash with you this morning.
Okay.
First, do no harm. As a healthcare facility, we want to take care of our patients. We also want to take care of the environment we're working in and ensure proper waste handling. We've earned 24 Environmental Excellence Awards, so keep up the great work. Keep doing what you're doing. And the farmers market is every Tuesday from 10 to 2 until November, so go out and check it out next week. Getting into waste, this facility generates about 11.5 million pounds of waste each year, and that's about 22 pounds every single minute. So there's a lot of behind the scenes with trash that I'm sure we don't think about every day while we're working, so that's why we're here. Just to give you a brief history of what we've done since 2011, we've helped you reduce your red bag waste and increase your recycling rates. We want to keep those trends going, get all of our trash out of our red bags and all of our true recyclables into our green bags. Our waste hierarchy pyramid, we all know our 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle. However, we want to focus on reducing the amount of waste we're creating and only take and use the supplies that you actually need. Our last resort for all waste should be the landfill or the incinerator. Our universal precautions versus waste disposal guidelines. You always want to wear your protective equipment. However, it rarely ever should go into a red bag. Our red bag waste is regulated medical waste. It's anything that is truly soaked or saturated with blood or other potentially infectious materials. So this gauze pad showed on the right, with a few drops of blood, that is perfectly fine to go into your trash. It does not need to go into the red bag. Some examples of red bag waste are any suction canisters filled with blood. They should be solidified. Any tubing where blood is visible, your count bags, and then any biohazard specimen bags. Because of that wording and the symbol on it, they must go into the red bag, even if they're clean and empty. Other potentially infectious materials, or OPIMs. This is any bodily fluid that is visibly contaminated with blood, or any fluid you can't identify. Again, if it's soaked or saturated with any of these fluids shown on the screen, that's when you would put it into the red bag. An exception to this rule is urine, feces, vomit, and saliva. For most patients, these are perfectly fine to go into the clear bag, unless they contain blood or unless the patient is shedding a pathogen such as C. diff, then their feces would go into the red bag. So just as you can put a baby's diaper in the trash at home, you can do the same here. Our sharps waste is anything that can poke or puncture a red bag. So any needles, blades, glass vials, syringes would all go into your sharps bin. Linen is never trash, no matter how gross, disgusting, soiled, smelly it is. Always put it in your linen hamper. Never clear bag, never red bag. Our confidential bins, this is for confidential paper only, and then 100% of it is shredded and recycled. And then getting into the big topic for today, recycling. So I'm not sure if any of you have heard about recycling in the news with the China ban or the national sword. But China is no longer accepting our recyclables. We had too much contamination rates, so too high of contamination rates. So our local recycling industry is limiting what they're accepting at our MRF. So for that reason, we have to make a lot of changes with what is accepted on site. So we used to be able to accept blue wrap, all of our medical hard plastics like these saline bottles, any rigid trays or pink basins, and then flattened cardboard. However, now with the changes, we are no longer able to accept blue wrap or these medical plastics. Therefore, the only thing really that you are able to accept in the OR are flattened cardboard. However, you don't generate enough material for us to keep the green bins in each operating room. So we will be removing the green bins from every room. They will be locally or standardized, so that way they are at a communal location like a nurse station. So we'll keep them at the front of the OR and then in your break room. So the only items that we can truly accept in our green bins are empty plastic containers like wipe containers, any of your water bottles, soda bottles, metal cans, and then again, your boxes, cardboard, and then any non-confidential paper. So styrofoam, PPE, paper towels, plastic bags, and then now our medical plastics. You'll always see in the green bins, those are no longer, or those are not recyclable. So you will find recycling throughout the facility. They're still going to be in public areas, elevator landings, cafeteria. You still have the opportunity to recycle. We do have some new signage as well. It just reviews everything that is recyclable. And then recycling is very particular. So when it leaves your facility, it's taken to a MRF, which is a material recovery facility. And here there are people picking off the trash on the belt. Everything that doesn't belong, they're picking it off. So everything that we're putting into these green bins that is not recyclable is more work for these guys. Other unique recycling we have here, we recycle our batteries, our toner cartridges, and we compost in the kitchen. And then our general trash, if it's not soaked with blood and if it's not recyclable, you'll put it into a clear bag. So your packaging material, your gloves, any PPE, paper towels, and wipes. One more thing that we are going to be adding into every operating room is some rooms have a gray dispenser already on the wall, a gray bag dispenser. So before we remove all the green bins, we're going to make sure that every room has a dispenser on the wall to hold a clear bag roll. That way, if you do have overflow now that we're removing this extra bin, you will be able to pull the bag and fill it during the procedure. And then out on the dock, everything is separated out by color. So your red bags and red carts go into the trailer, all clear bags go into a trash compactor, and then all green bags and cardboard go into your recycle compactor. So we just want to remind you to keep it simple. Your pizza boxes probably aren't medical waste, so just be mindful of where you're putting your waste and how you're separating it. Do you have any questions about the new program?
So Brooke, I just wanted to clarify, because we've had this conversation. If we have paper with patient information on it, PHI, we were told that if it goes to the clear bag, it still gets incinerated. And so it really did not matter whether it went into the shred box or the clear bag. So can you clarify that?
Yes, so all non-confidential paper should be going into the shred bin. In the instance where there's a label or patient information is on a bottle that you're unable to peel off, it is okay for it to go into the clear bag as it's incinerated. But if you can put it into the shred bin, that's where it should go.
Okay, so that is the preferred, and only if you can't do the other.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have any questions for Brooke? You can throw it in the chat box or unmute yourself if you can. Okay. If you have questions, let me know and I'll get them out to Brooke, and we'll follow up with answers, okay?
Perfect. Thank you, Marie.
All right, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
All right. All right, so come in. Have a seat. We're having a in-service.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to move on here to information I put together this morning. And everybody see my screen? Tommy, can you see my screen?
Yeah, no.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So town hall, for those of you who are not able to participate, I know it's not at a convenient time, but I think it's now once a month. They're now having the town hall, and I wanted to.
Marie, I can't see your screen. I cannot see.
Cannot see my screen. Okay, hold on. Your voice is scratchy today, Tommy.
Sorry.
Okay, so let me go here to the Zoom meeting and let me share my screen. Okay, can you see me now?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So for first and foremost, yesterday at the town hall, they recognized Miss Rose, which I thought was amazing and great. So Karen Doyle talked about her and her 55 years of service and how much she has meant to the institution. I know I sent her a card yesterday and thanked her for helping me when I was in orientation and for all of the people that she has helped that we've put through ENT. So kudos to her. And I know Clarissa is trying to put together a picture album. So if anybody has pictures of Miss Rose hidden in their cameras somewheres, please get them to Clarissa.
Celebrating Miss Rose on.
What was that, Tommy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We will be celebrating Miss Rose on September 1st at 11 o'clock.
September 1st. Okay.
And
Will that be like in the round room or?
yes,
Okay, perfect.
we submitted write-ups to the insider and to the intranet on her as well. So those should be coming out soon.
Okay, excellent. All right, so some infection control updates. I know we've been talking repeatedly about wearing your mask and your eye protection. So Michael Ann went over some highlights yesterday. Particularly, she talked about the risk stratification for exposures. And the big ticket item on there is mutually unmasked individuals exposed together and the prolonged close contact within 6 feet greater than 15 minutes. So she gave some data. Reason for the emphasis on this: over the last 3 months, we've had over 100 high-risk staff-to-staff exposures since May. And so one of the things that we have done is all the meetings and such that were scheduled in the classroom, any orientation, have been canceled, and the classroom is now made available from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for breaks and or lunches so that people can decompress out of the lounge. Same thing for the round room, though I don't believe it has been 100% vacated because we don't own the round room. But any carry-out meetings that were scheduled in there have been canceled. So you can certainly check at lunchtime. If there's not a scheduled meeting going on in the round room, you can go in there and safely distance during meals and breaks. If at all possible, at the very least, what they are recommending, if you are sitting with someone and you are both unmasked, both people should have eye protection on at that time. The other exposure issue has been staff to patient. So just from data that they've done hospital-wide, 4% of the time staff were unmasked when they were approaching patients. 34% of the time staff had no eye protection on, and 68% of the time the patient did not have a mask on. So they're asking everyone to make sure the patient has a mask available, ask them to place the mask on if they don't have it on and you're coming into the room, and to please be sure that you have your eye protection on. We had some issues around COVID recovered patients, so I just wanted to kind of highlight that. Michael Ann did talk about the way that gets changed in EPIC. So if the patient's status changed to COVID recovered, it is changed in EPIC by the infection prevention providers only. And they are only doing that between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. So if, for example, a patient is designated as being COVID recovered after 7 p.m., based on lab work and clinical decisions, the status in EPIC will not change until the next morning. However, the patient can be treated as COVID recovered based on that medical determination, even if the banner has not been updated. So I know that's a little confusing. And if the patient is COVID recovered, even if they are still housed on the BCU, we are to treat them as COVID recovered. They do not need a negative pressure room. They don't need special handling for the specimens. We don't need to go through all the machinations that we do for a COVID positive or PUI patient. So just bear that in mind. There was an incident where the patient came down twice in a 24-hour period that was COVID recovered. Specimens were sent incorrectly. This was not on our side, but just something to keep in mind. They also talked about staff resources that are available. In addition to our standard employee assistance program, there's this whole organization or setup called CareBridge. Resources are located on the internet. There's also a mobile app that you can put on your phone. So there's links there for pastoral care. There's links for the employee assistance program. And then there's links for the CareBridge employee assistance program. I'm not sure the detail of the difference there, but there are links to both of those. And then just for everybody who is not aware, the employee assistance program is available free of charge to all employees. So if you are in need of any confidential assistance, counseling, whatever, you can reach out to them and they will see you on a short-term basis. If you need long-term assistance, they will refer you outside to another provider eventually. So just to be aware that's there. If you are in need, there's a lot of resiliency things. There's some webinars. There's a monthly theme. So apparently the August theme was motivation, and then different types of assistance that are there. So wanted everybody to know about that if you didn't already. All right, so moving on to touchscreens in the OR. I know some of you have started working with these touchscreens that we have over in the ASCU. We are transitioning to the new process for checking in. This is new for everybody. It's new for the surgeons. It's new for anesthesia. So we're focusing on that. I know I was over there the other day and people were doing a good job. I would say 99% of the nurses had checked in on their way to see their patient. And so thanks to all of you who have started to do that. There is also a check-in screen in the pre-op holding area for inpatients. It's a little bit out of the way because it was placed in what was originally the pre-op area, which has been shifted due to COVID. So you have to make a point of going over to the column and hitting that touch screen in the PACU before you see your patient. So very simple functionality. You just click on your patient and click on your role OR and in, and it automatically populates in Epic. The other thing we're working on is a multidisciplinary handoff in the ASCU area. This has been a goal of Dr. Steers pretty much since he came, and we're trying to get transition to that. I think the neuro team has been attempting to pilot it, the new workflow in the mornings, and the goal is to have ultimately to have a combined handoff in the ASCU in the morning with anesthesia, the OR nurse, and the ASCU nurse just prior to bringing the patient to OR and doing that as a team. So trauma has been really pretty much doing this in that they come over, the OR nurse and the anesthesia provider come over together, see the patient together, interview the patient together, and then take the patient back. So we're looking at something like that, but it's work in progress. We haven't finalized it yet. And then Jeannie, are you on the call? Jeannie Delaney? Maybe Tommy, you can speak to this. Jeannie asked me to show this neuro room night setup checklist.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Sorry, I had to unmute.
That's okay.
So as everyone should be aware, we are doing the Neuro PI project, and part of that is an overnight setup so that when the staff comes in during the day, the first morning shift, your room should be all set up and ready to go. So we've developed this sheet. The top part is for the RN or the ST that's assigned to set up that room. There's a yes, no section. Was it done? Was it not done? And then comments. So we would really like you to use the comment sections if you can't say, couldn't find a mail stand. So that way we know, okay, we need to make sure we have enough mail stands. You couldn't find trash bags to put in the linen or the green trash bag. We didn't have enough kick buckets. The room wasn't decluttered by the daytime staff. We want to know all of that information so that we can go back and follow up and start addressing these issues head on. The second part of that is where the equipment techs will sign off saying that they've done their part of the room setup. And then whoever is charge nurse overnight will sign off saying, yes, she's reviewed the room with the equipment tech and the person setting up the room and it is fine. And then the final part of that is that the night shift and the day shift will sign it off together when the day shift comes in. That could be Stephanie or Lamone when they come in first thing in the morning because they get here early. They could meet with the night shift and get it signed off then. Or it could be the actual room staff who's staffing that room for the day. But we need to have a handoff between the night shift and the day shift with any issues. That goes with the equipment techs also. This is going to be piloted for the neuro rooms, but eventually it will go out to all of the rooms. So you might want to think about, oh, am I decluttering my room at the end of the day? Because they're going to start looking at that. Am I taking my Neptune out of the room so that it can get emptied and put back in the room? Because we know that that's part of our responsibilities. When your room is done for the day, wipe your Neptune down, roll it out of your room and put it in the hallway. So it's just things that we need to look at. We're trying to make things easy as possible for you to come in the morning, set up, and be ready to go. If anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Where is the checklist being kept, Jeannie?
So for now, it's either going to be, we weren't going to start this till next week. We got to finish educating everyone. But for now, it's either going to be kept in the neuro rooms or it's going to be kept with the setup sheets that Stephanie and Lamone make.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I wanted to welcome some new staff. We have Christina Bragg, who is an SST who just started this week. We have Melissa Jones, who is a new peri-op scope tech who'll be working with the Stryker scope team. And we have Andrew Quinn, new student nurse, who's sitting here with me. And we have Betty Addis, who is also sitting with me, and I'm just going to get her picture this morning and add that in. So please welcome them all if you see them in the hallway or in your rooms. And hopefully you got a chance to say goodbye to Carol Dickerson. She's leaving us for 3 months and hopefully will be returning in the fall. I guess she had to take a 3-month break, so hope to see her soon. Just a reminder, annual training has to be completed by August 31st. And they did mention at the meeting yesterday that flu shots will be starting September 3rd. And they want to get everybody vaccinated as early as possible because they are anticipating probably another spike in the fall with the flu and the COVID. So I didn't mention it in here, and you may or may not have seen it in the announcements, but they are building a transitional and modular unit on the parking lot across the street from the Godelski entrance in anticipation of that fall spike that they are looking to accommodate. So you may, if you haven't been by there, see the construction, take a look at it there. It's going to be a 16-bed unit, I believe, theoretically ICU, but there's a huge team that's working on planning it and implementing it. Lamone asked us to put out the reminder that the wish list closes today, right? Today's the 27th at 7 p.m. So if you haven't done your schedule requests, get into Schedule Anywhere and get that done. All right, I thought since we're talking about another spike in COVID, that we would try doing a Kahoots game here. So get your game face on. It's time for some competition. and get your phones ready, and we will have a prize for the winners. So I have 2 games, and let me get this going here. Give me a minute to transition. I did not. Okay. Hold on 1 minute. While I'm doing this, if everybody can get themselves into Kahoots, that would be good, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, so. Okay. All right, so let's start with COVID management and enhanced respiratory precautions. So let me send this out. Present. Classic. Okay, everybody ready? Here is the code that you need to put in. Can you guys see the screen? Make sure I have the right screen up here. Tommy, are you able to see the screen?
I am able to see it now.
Okay. Okay, here we go. We got some more players logging in. You're going to have to identify yourself when you come claim your prize. Have you guys ever played Cahoots? No? You know how you have.
Yeah, a couple times in school.
Okay. All right, we got 24 people. Anybody else logging in? I'll give you another minute. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start. All right, COVID management and ELR and enhanced respiratory precautions. True, false? All right. It is correct. We are supposed to be wearing either a respirator or an N95 and eye protection throughout all surgical procedures. That is the recommendation for what we should be doing at the moment. All right. And just a reminder, speed of answering is also counted in calculations here. So specimens from COVID or PUI patients should be all right. The correct answer is all that apply. They should be double bagged. They should be placed in formalin. They do not take any frozen sections. They should be delivered directly to pathology after calling to notify that the specimen is en route. So all of the above. All right, Alicia is at the top. Let's see how we do with the next one. True or false? Specimens from COVID recovered patients require special handling. All right, so I actually just talked about that in the presentation. If the patient is COVID recovered, the specimens can go routine, no special handling, no special labeling is required. All right, Leanne. The OR doors should remain closed and enhanced respiratory precautions used for 21 minutes following extubation. True or false? Or no, for all patients, for COVID recovered patients, or for COVID positive and PUI only? For all patients is correct. So we're treating everybody with enhanced respiratory precautions during aerosol generating procedures, even if they are COVID negative. So the door should remain closed and PAPR should be on for 21 minutes following extubation. It doesn't mean you can't go in the room and clean. It just means the door needs to be closed and you need to be protected. All right, true, false. Eye protection should be worn whenever you are in the presence of any person who is not wearing a mask. Yep, true. Eye protection, eye protection, eye protection. All right, a surgical mask should be worn over an N95 and should be changed after each case. True or false? Yeah, true. Okay. CI. All right. Steps for doffing the surgical mask include performing hand hygiene prior to removing the mask, performing hand hygiene after removing gloves, discarding gloves after removing the mask, all of the above. All of the above. Very good. All right, Leanne, back up top again. True or false? Close contact for greater than 15 minutes when unmasked or without eye protection places you at high risk for exposure. And that is true. Thank you, everybody. Good deal. All right, Leanne is holding up there. True, false. It is recommended by infection protection to pass supplies through the smaller back door to the OR when assisting with a COVID case. And that is true. So they recommend that you use the smaller door just because there's less disturbance of the airflow. The one exception is if you are in OR 7 in trauma, they ask that you not use the back door because they have open shelved sterile supplies in the immediate vicinity of the back door, and they do not want you going in and out that door with a COVID patient. All right, CI is back on top. All right, exceptions when performing a COVID case. Extra supplies should be left outside the door. Waste supplies in the room. Crash cart should not be brought in the room. Consents do not require a patient's signature if the MD places a note in the EMR, or all of the above. Yes, all those apply. So just a reminder, we've talked about it, leaving supplies out of the room unless absolutely needed. If you have a code, do not bring the crash cart in, and the consent does not have to have a patient signature, but the surgeon does have to do the note in the EMR. Holding strong there, CI. True, false. If your mask no longer has a good seal or is crushed or stained, it should be exchanged for a new mask. And that is true. If your mask is crushed, get a new one. Don't keep using it. It's not going to protect you. All right, the green 3M N95 mask should be sent for reprocessing at the end of your shift. Yes, okay. If not at the end of every shift, if you're working 2 or 3 days in a row, ideally at the end of that stretch. All right, it is okay to remove the lid from the blue Oxivir wet task container to pull out a large number of wipes at once. True or false? And that is false. Yeah, so please, if you see the lid, I know I do it, I see it in passing going down the hall. If you see it off, please put it on and make sure that it's closed. All right, this is the last one. Any equipment being pushed out of an OR for return to storage must be wiped down prior to placing it in the hallway. True or false? And that is correct. Thank you. Okay, so let's see who the winner is. CI, you are the winners. So come and let me know who you are. All right. And we'll take a couple more minutes and do the COVID code blue, because we haven't done that in a while. Let's see if I can get back to it. Every question was answered correctly by most players. Excellent. Okay. Get me out of here. Play a new game. Go back to my home page. My cahoots. Okay, COVID code blue. Ready for game number 2. All right, 101826. I'm gonna run down the hall to the restroom and change. Okay, I thought these on for you just while we're waiting. It's on the left as you go down the hall. So we used to have a big meeting every Thursday morning in the round room, and we haven't been able to do that since COVID went live. So here we are.
I've been doing my clinical this semester.
Hmm?
So I've been doing all my clinical.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, we had 27 people last time. I'll give a few more people a chance to log in here. All right. Let's go ahead and start. COVID code blue. We haven't had one of these in a while. Hopefully we won't have one. So activate the code, call for the crash cart to be brought into the room. True or false? That is correct. False. You want to leave the crash cart outside of the room. The only thing that should come in the room off the crash cart is the Zoll defibrillator if you don't have a Zoll defibrillator in your room. Otherwise, everything stays outside the room, and there's a nurse manning it out there. All right, true or false? The Lucas device, that should be used for compressions in all scenarios unless contraindicated. Okay, it is true. The Lucas should be used for COVID or non-COVID patients. That is the guidelines at this point in time. So any code, unless it is contraindicated because of a large chest open incision or a large open belly, that is going to be a problem. Or your very small pediatric or your very large bariatric patient. All right, the charge nurse should come into the OR to help assign code roles. True or false? False is correct. The charge nurse should be outside of the OR, helping manage traffic control and assigning duties outside the room. True or false? Data supports that there are better outcomes when roles are clearly identified during a code event. True is absolutely correct. When we have multiple anesthesia providers, it definitely helps to know which individual is the code leader and which person is doing documentation, and which person is doing meds. So key code roles in the cold zone. So where's the cold zone? Outside the room. All of the above. So you're correct. There should be a nurse manning the crash cart and delivering supplies to the room if needed. There should be an anesthesia provider managing the anesthesia pyxis outside of the OR for a COVID code. And then the charge nurse as the designee or a designee of the charge nurse controlling traffic and monitoring what's happening outside the room. The first role that needs to be identified in the hot zone, that's immediately in the OR. Absolutely, the code leader. You want to know who's running the show. All right, Sam. Why is it helpful to activate the wall timer during a code event? Absolutely, all the above. So it helps with timing of medication doses because they're giving meds every 2 minutes. It helps with switching off on compressions. Though if we're using this Lucas, that's less important. And then it is a clear visual cue, which is helpful because people get tunnel vision and get distracted. All right, Sam is holding it. The hot zone encompasses what area of the OR? Is it the entire room? Is it the sterile field? Is it the core? Or is it the area within 6 feet of the patient? All right, it is the area within 6 feet of the patient or of any aerosol generating procedure. So that is the hot zone. Outside of that 6 feet perimeter is considered the quote unquote warm zone. So that is the designation there. All right. True or false? You can find information about the OR code blue policy in policy stat. Okay, that is false. It's not in policy stat. It's on the PERIOP website under the COVID link. So that's where our OR COVID resources are located. All right, the Zoll from the crash cart should be brought into the code room if there is not one present. True or false? Everybody should get this one right. Yes. Yep, bring the Zoll into the room. All right, true or false? The charge nurse or their designee should remain outside the OR to control and direct traffic and monitor PPE usage. Another giveaway. That is true. The goal is to minimize the number of people in the OR. Okay, which drawer of the crash cart has additional IV supplies, central line kit, and extra fluids? Anybody know? Drawer 1, 2, 3, or 4? Okay, it's actually drawer 4. That's where the IV supplies are. That's important to know, particularly in the COVID case, because anesthesia does not have a lot of supplies in the room. So they may need that central line kit. They may need additional IV supplies. Sarah jumped up. Which drawer of the crash cart contains emergency code drugs? Absolutely, drawer 1. So drawer 1 and drawer 4 are usually the only drawers that we might need because we have all the other supplies in our ORs. And last, additional code roles in the cold zone will be the assigned anesthesia tech and a surgical support tech from the pod. True or false? And that is true. Okay, let's see who did it this time. That would be Sarah. Congratulations, guys. Thanks for playing. That's it for me, unless, Tommy, you have anything else you want to add?
That the annual training is due on the 31st.
You're kind of breaking up, Tommy.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. It's just fuzzy, crackly.
If anyone can hear me, annual training is due by the 31st. If not completed, you will not be able to return to work until it is completed. If it's not completed within 14 days after that, you will return. So please, please, please.
Okay, so
complete your annual training.
okay, so just in case people couldn't hear, Tommy said annual training due by the 31st. If it's not completed, you will be out of work without pay until that is done. And you have 2 weeks to complete after that, at which point termination is the policy. So please get it done. Don't leave it to the last minute. There's a lot of modules to get done. And on that happy note, everybody have a good day. And Tommy, if you wouldn't mind leaving the meeting on just so that I can check the chat board and make sure I have everybody down for a few minutes. Where did my chat box go? That page. That page. Andrew, I think you have some modules still to do. So Stephanie said you have something to finish.
Sterilization and perioperative environment data.
Okay, all right. Let me just make sure I got everybody's name on here. I'll help you get that started. And Arthur. Yeah. 14. All right, Lisa Spears. So where to go? Do you want to go ahead and log on to the computer? Royce, Dan, Christy, Harsha, Jeremia, Dan, Joe, Harlan, Dina, Cinto, Lindsay, Chloe, Rico, Kimberly, Sam, Janet Dill, Janet Dill, McClellan, Carlos, Deb Kutcher, Cheryl, Singleton, Bruce, Jason, Visha, Bruce, Amaya, Miguel, Mina, KT, Sarah, Jasmine, Broderick. Can I do his name? Chris. Stevens. No. Okay. All right.